Syphilis. 7K. Welcome to this week's edition of Macroethics. This is an early 2016 love-hate letter to Nashville, Tennessee, my beloved, be-hated, off and on again, home of over a decade before moving to California. This is not an appropriate read for PC police. Indulge with a sense of humor and a grain of salted meat. Otherwise, don't read it, pig. And don't look back or you'll turn into a pillar of it. Remember, this was written in 2016, so... And if you don't know Nashville, you're not going to fucking get any of it. But you will. You'll get some. The mayoral reign of Karl Archdein, Reich Minister of Propaganda to Nashville, was coming to a close. He was catching hell from the anti-establishment East and the industrial West he propagated from irony and stole. Somewhere underneath his trail of breadcrumbs, there was still a music city that musicians could afford. But it required musicians to be relocated to facilities on the outskirts of town. Initially, black, brown, gay, and mentally ill people were sent across the river along with musicians to the East Side ghettos. Eventually, we were all forced to leave the metropolitan city via Ubermensch and Lyft rails. When it began, none of us knew entirely what was happening. We were forced to wear the Star of David, Bowie, after his untimely death. We were forced to ask our parents if they had at least one Bowie tee in the attic, or maybe the closet in the guest room. Our parents were forced to FedEx us these shirts, and we wore them whether or not they had holes. But it got really bad when we realized all of our girlfriends had knitted anarchy stars into their old jeans we were forced to wear by the fashion Gestapo. Whoever said men wearing girl jeans was cool was not cool. How could we be the illustrious trendsetters again? Tattoos had become commonplace. We'd already been through every incarnation of hair and facial hair pro quos. We'd revamped fashion, music, 1 decade per year, from the 1920s to the 1990s, and now we had run back into the present state of meta. Masculinity had taken a foothold as the norm, and we sobbed grievously as they laughed our eye makeup-wearing predecessors back to Never Never Land. Sometimes I wish I had just hopped on that train. Who knows? It could have been headed to Funky Town. They baited the musicians by appealing to our most primordial desire and insecurity. Vanity. The Achilles vein of vainness. First New York, then L.A., then Austin. The order doesn't matter. Nashville was represented, and Nashville had another firm hand on the loins of modernity. Because after all, Nashville is Music City. Everybody knows how important we are. We're really important in the music world, right? So we put up anarchist meeting flyers all over the Music Row and Berry Hill areas, knowing musicians would respond to this obvious misnomer, and they did. Because we're not just morons, we're oxymorons. We didn't put up signs on the East Side. We're fairly certain we know everybody there. Anyone who doesn't hang out in 5 Points doesn't matter anyways. In many years of protest and satire, only upper-middle-class, straight white people became PC Gestapo. For all the oppressed populations of the world had a deep-rooted sense of humor. Macs are better anyways. All I ever wanted was to be a real boy, but it was laundry day, and I put on my girlfriend's jeans. Wearing skinny jeans, I only sing Tori Amos songs. I'll buy you a drink if you can get these pants off. The Reich Minister had saved us somewhat from chewing on the bubblegum housing blow on Zerbro-Kennenblasennacht. The city of Nashville looked like a thriving metropolis under Archdein, but the repercussions of his actions were large statues of guitars everywhere, with no more working guitar players able to afford to live in Music City. The recording studios were demolished to make room for hotels and more guitar statues. Working landmarks, legendary recording studios, and music venues were all knocked over to make more room for high-rise condominiums decorated with musical emblems and treble clef-shaped ornaments, painted on park benches out back for homeless working musicians to sleep on. We were forced to Google the definition of gentrification out of embarrassment after our keyboard player friend said it 5 times at Portland Brew, and then we truly understood. East Nashville used to be what Wikipedia referred to as cultured. There were like black people and brown people and other shades of black people and brown people too. Apparently, culture is why East Nashville used to be a desirable place to live. And without the melting pot, there was no longer any culture. We feel more compassionate now that we know that. and we're proud of ourselves for thinking about it for a few minutes before refilling our cafe mocha lattes and posting about how not racist we are on the FaceTube. I knew it was getting pretty sick and savage when they started recording all of our names on a long list, the guest list at Basement East. Because this new generation is always conveniently broke, despite $50,000 cars that seem to appear spontaneously from Daddyland. And let's not even get into how or why they happen to be in possession of that 67 Les Paul or that Strat over there or this 335 that George Harrison played on a really great song you've never heard, or that massive pedal board and all those amps they stumbled into. They only don't have money when money is a thing. We're just glad we have friends with as desperately requisite needs as ours, whom actually live within the city limits of Music City. They'll be conveniently broke next time we put on a show, and we'll put them on Schindler's List too. By the way, I thought Getting Pretty put on a gnarly show, but I still think Sick and Savage killed it. We do music for causes so that the expansive world of East Nashville sees that we have lots of altruism, which is why we love spreading our vast knowledge of life, and especially music. And we can tell you for certain that altruism is not a form of Alzheimer's, or autism, or Auschwitz, because we Wikipedia'd it as soon as our keyboard player friend said it 5 times at 5 Points Pizza. That basil one with the olive oil is delicious. To this day, Davidson County residents claim ignorance to the mass exile of talent from Nashville Metro. What was once a loud scream quickly became flaccid and eventually succumbed to a cesspool of mediocrity. Some top-ranking musicians actually worked with the Ubermensch and Lift-Off-to-Wish rail services in the final days of talented Nashvillians. There's no denying new locals could see the exhaust smoke on the eastern horizon as their talent drove away. Those brave Uber lifters were the last known talent to occupy Nashville's musician-designated ghettos. The music ghettos are now being sanctioned for Project Demolition, Gulch Overflow, commonly referred to as Yuppity Yuppity. Music City seems to have discovered some frantic need to house young men wearing Birkenstocks with ankle socks whilst tucking polo shirts into khaki shorts. No one's quite sure why these young men are important, but their spray tans and triceps tell a story that words cannot. They seem to spend a lot of money, yet they never seem to actually do anything. They all have the same haircut and dialect, like a Southern California made an ass baby with rural Texas. Is anyone hungry? In celebration of Tennessee Pride Day, Yuppity newcomers celebrate Nashville's own President Andrew Jackson by forcing what's left of the local population to walk long distances, slowly dying and crying. High five. Trail of breadcrumbs. Darwin just told me why gazelles travel in flocks, and I made sweet love to a lion. It's a long story. Hanukkah, Matita. Breaking news! Wait for it, wait. It's breaking news, but your newscaster isn't prepared. Wait, there's a delay. Here it is. Never mind. 90s kids will always spell never mind as one compound word. Why? Oh well, whatever. Wait. This breaking news is important. We've interrupted your regularly scheduled program because it's a new show on prime time, and it got shitty ratings 5 weeks in a row. Be sure to watch the new season of the smash hit television program, Nashville! And also, Nashville is building a nuclear rocket. It's going to be a big, shiny rocket, look like penis in sky, make big loud explosion, noise, and fly like Ubermensch. Mayor Barry seems to be standing by her promise to full disclosure in a press conference this evening. Perhaps you've noticed there have been 749 cranes visible on the Nashville skyline for 12 years now, yeah? Well, it's time to let the world know. They're actually space probes. The Nashville mayor gave many details on the previous propaganda administration's communication with the extraterrestrial species Bentless, whom planted a single sperm in a cervix of a half-wit in Arizona in 1975. Apparently, the only reason for their choosing this particular woman's cervix was that she had recently married and changed her name to Bentley, which somewhat resembles the last 5 characters of the species' name. Under false pretenses, the woman allegedly promised her alien captor to coax her unborn son into believing he was a talented musician, despite the god-awful noise. She claims the alien father insisted she name her son Dirks. Dirks! Which resembles the first 5 letters of the alien species' name. It appears the anarchist mud truckers and Scientologists had it right all along. The The great peasant feces deity we worship doesn't have the voice of an angel, as he yodels pig-Latin like a fart in the ether. The woman who birthed the feigned demigod from her anus has taken to Twitter, saying she was duped into believing she'd been impregnated by God, and she wouldn't have endured the fingers on a chalkboard voice, if you want to call that music, had she known Dierks Bentley was half peasant feces deity. It's hard to say how the alleged fans of Dierks Bentley's alleged music will react to this alleged news. In other news, Hydrantien Penitentiaire from the smash hit television program Nashville has taken to 2nd Avenue with a mostly full bottle of Rumple Mints and a peach kiwi daiquiri with a little umbrella and a fruit basket straw, giving the AP an official statement.
Aliens coming, yeehaw!
Dierks Bentley has yet to comment, as no one's entirely sure if he's still in the galaxy. But his half-wit mother wants you all to know that she was a devout Christian from 1975 onwards, and she's recently posted pictures to her Twitter account that look to be edited with Microsoft Paint with a unique logo so antiquated no one can tell it's actually just a font stock called Papyrus. Here's one now. It seems to be, it's Ave Maria with 2 alien cocks and balls for eyes. Mayor Barry is redirecting all of Nashville's local funding towards the Mission to Ascension. Tom Cruise is now publicly supporting Mission to Ascension. The ghost of L. Ron Hubbard just shit in the woods. The ghost of L. Ron is now wiping his ass with an oak leaf and cursing himself for not having brought a napkin or a tissue. Tom Cruise is now masturbating to a Dawson's Creek poster he pulled from underneath the guest bed. And it's hard to tell which person he's eyeballing. It's a sea of cowboy hats bobbing up and down 2nd Avenue where crowds have gathered in celebration of peasant feces demigod Dierks Bentley. They're all yodeling Dierks and chanting Scientology's real. The Rocket for Vengeance has Nashville residents selling and trading all 3 of their resources: corn, billboards of famous musicians, and condominiums for rich assholes who are no longer rich enough for L.A. Hats off to Uncle Bob. We gone country, y'all. The state of Tennessee is reallocating all of its federal funds toward the project, and all banks based in the state are now being forced to foreclose on all loans above $1,000. Cutaway to local Smyrna resident Wilbur Wiley Willie McWilliamberry eating a tortured meat on rye.
I know God's on my side whether or not he's an alien. We're the greatest. Fuck 'em aliens. Say, nuke 'em, Dierks.
The federal government has refused to pay the state of Tennessee, citing an IOU written by Tennessee's very own President Andrew Johnson. He celebrated on Tennessee Pride Day with public lynchings and cabaret-style bowel movements on Lincoln's face, using the 13th Amendment as toilet paper. To add insult to injury, 80% of all personal loans in the state of Tennessee were made for $500 or less. This isn't good news for the... I'm getting word now, my a rocket equipped with a nuclear warhead capable of reaching the Sirius star cluster, effectively destroying all Dierks and Bentleys from Genesis to Revelation. Mayor Barry is now campaigning in Mississippi with the catchphrase, demagoguery, demagoguery, with an outcry of support. Mississippi changed its state motto to birthplace of the colored blue, under which fine print reads,
We were so god-awful to them niggas that they created American music.
Preston Bronx, y'all. Yeah.
This is the kind of movement America needs. Look at how excited I am. As a newscaster, I've always just waited for a perfect moment when everything goes to shit so my daddy will see me on TV. It's like when the weather guy excitedly exclaims, I sure hope the tornado isn't huge and destructive. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I am a real boy. God damn you, Geppetto. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. The city is demolishing everything it can to make room for these admirable Birkenstockers, polo-tucking, cultureless voids in time and space. The Ministry of Prostitution, a.k.a. the Music Biz, is ordering a shipment of 3,000 saran-wrapped blonde girls to be boxed and shipped over for these newly arrived young men to harass, fondle, and rape in their spare time. These blondes can also dance provocatively and lip-sync auto-tuned euphemisms for sex. This is the voice of entertainment. Am I right? Who needs art? Who needs art? Who needs... I
love testosterone. Fuck you. You wanna fight? Fuck you. You're fucking ugly. Face slap, bitch. What?
Sociologists hypothesized that the propaganda minister's insistence on disallowing true musicians Sociologists hypothesize that propaganda ministers' insistence on disallowing true musicians and real artists to participate in the city's growth led to people with blonde hair and blue eyes and certain body types and facial structures to pretend to be musicians and artists, while true musicians and real artists were forced to pretend to be non-musicians and non-artists, moping about town in dress pants with briefcases, pretending marriage and mortgage are fulfilling. Others simply turned Aryan to gain speaking roles in propaganda films, such as the aptly titled smash hit television program Nashville, starring Haley LaPenturiere. Upon intense questioning about his involvement in the model-esque blonde, blue-eyed only referendum, he replied, breaking news, we're no longer sorry for interrupting your regularly scheduled program. This just in, blonde-haired, blue-eyed non-musicians now make up the entirety of the music industry and the entirety of Music City. And Mayor Bentley just tore down everything, everywhere Elvis ever recorded, Johnny Cash, Neil Young, Emmylou Harris, and all the legendary venues, all gone. Long live culture. 5 guitar statues have been erected in memoriam of culture. In addition, a treble clef-shaped pool is being built on top of a skyscraper condominium. As it turns out, all is fair in love and genocide and gentrification and hell. In other news, all 7,000 of the music industry's award ceremonies honoring itself are being held in Nashville tonight. The lawyers who own the music industry must hand out awards to themselves, or else musicians might realize the industry doesn't actually do anything for musicians. Cutaway to Halen Penitentiary from the smash hit television program Nashville, looking off into a scattered sunset as though she's pondering something more significant than we'll ever know. D is in douche canoe, A is in ass honky, B minor? Gee golly, that's it, I dare say, that's all we need. Why did anyone ever try to do anything more with music? 4 chords and a hook, I declare. The introduction of Michael Jackson's critically acclaimed #1 hit single, We Are the World, begins to play on a wax cylinder, flipping between 4 camera angles. Wax cylinder from stage right. Wax cylinder from stage left. Wide angle with Questlove's hair visible and wax cylinder in backdrop. A naked picture of Jennifer Lawrence. Then curtains open wider and the floor separates from center stage outward to unveil the pit. OMG, it's the real live, totally real, super awesome Nashville, Smyrna, Murfreesboro, London Philharmonic. Crowd applause. A famous conductor who no one's ever heard of walks in from stage left. Crowd applause. Nicole Kidman walks on stage in heels. Crowd applause. The way she's walking with the heels and her dress dragging the crowd applause. Anyways, it looks painful. Crowd applause. Nicole Kidman walks on stage, but it takes too long to get to the microphone. Nicole Kidman is being instructed to walk off stage. Crowd applause. A hologram of Frank Sinatra appears over Nicole Kidman as she's tripping on her dress. Hey, Sammy? Crowd applause. Nicole Kidman is on the ground. Hey, Sammy? Crowd applause. Audio, video, text are having a hard time resyncing. Hey, Sammy? Hey, Sammy? Hey, Sammy? Crowd applause. Cutaway, Marky Mark with a tough, smug grin that says, see, I have a sense of humor and I'm better than you. Exactly the role his publicist cast him in. Good job. Keep up the good work. Dean Martin's voice. Whiskey. Crowd applause. Cutaway to Gwen Stefani speaking about the tragedy of James Dean's untimely demise. Sinatra's voice. Dean's drinking apple juice. Nicole Kidman is carried out on a stretcher. Sinatra's hologram introduces Hardion Penitentiary from the smash hit television program Nashville. Crowd applause. Herder Penitentiarium from the smash hit television program Nashville. I'm like, it's so much you do, but it's like all totally like what it should be. You should, and I believe. Crowd applause. Sinatra's hologram says, you got a song for me or what? Crowd laughs hysterically. Cutaway to Jennifer Lawrence. She's taken off her dress and is now attempting to reenact her most famous scene as a naked girl who took photos of herself. She's posing now with Bradley Cooper. Harlem Parthenon from the smash hit television program Nashville begins singing, We Aren't the World. Crowd applause. Sinatra hologram pops up stage right. Crowd applause. Sinatra hologram begins singing, New York. We Aren't the World is still playing. Crowd applause. Michael Jackson hologram appears stage left. Crowd applause. Overlapping Kanye West hologram appears stage left. Crowd applause. Jeering along with roaring applause. Kanye West hologram says, fuck the world. Cutaway to Beyonce leaving, but it's a long hallway. Slow-mo replay of Beyonce leaving. Again, same shot, but Somehow, Jay-Z is sideways. Jay-Z is walking on the ceiling. Seriously, there's no ropes. Jay-Z is actually walking on the ceiling. Kanye West's hologram is bitch-slapping Michael Jackson's hologram. Hardy's Parthenon from the Smash Hit Television Nashville is still singing, "We aren't the world. No, we're not children." Crowd applause. Sean Penn pops out of a papier-mâché tree onto a raft and begins saving children. Crowd applause. Both screens are now a mirrored video of Sean Penn outdoors saving koala bears, and the real Sean Penn is still on stage in a raft. Jay-Z is now taking a shit on the audience from the rafters. Jennifer Lawrence is now blowing Bradley Cooper. A hologram of Jay-Z is getting really irritated with the real Jay-Z shitting on him. Hackholder Penitentiaria from the Smash Hit television program Nashville is still singing, "We aren't, so aren't is too." The real Kanye West pulley drops on cue, but the tech is also blowing Bradley Cooper now. So Kanye West is dragged across stage. Kanye West flies in with angel wings and slams into a wall. The Rat Pack holograms have gathered upstage right and are debating existentialism, but Dean is silent because he's always secretly known. Michael Jackson's hologram is also blowing Bradley Cooper now. Leonard Cohen finally got to sleep. Children are being thrown at Sean Penn, and he's caught all of them so far. The show is now being dedicated to the memories of Nicole Kidman and Kanye West. There's now a hologram of Nicole Kidman tripping on stage. There are now 2 holograms of Kanye West, and they're both blowing Bradley Cooper now. Sean Penn just dropped a kid. The show is now being dedicated to the memories of Nicole Kidman, Kanye West, and Macaulay Culkin. Hades Premichenier from the Smash Hit television program Nashville is still singing, "We are the girls, we are the pilgrims, we got referrals, all laid signs before they killed them." Jay-Z and Jay-Z hologram are both shitting on the audience from the rafters now, and somehow Jay-Z's hologram is shitting real shit. Marky Mark is also blowing Bradley Cooper now. Famous conductor that nobody knows just broke out with Ludwig's Symphony No. 9, and the crowd points to the rafters, synchronistically screaming, 9! Broken news. D as in douche canoe. Ode to joy. Music City isn't any longer Kumbaya. After the mass exodus of talent from the city during the music holocaust and the tearing down of all its historic landmarks, the new Tennessee state bird is an outline of a guitar on a bench. And the state's anthem is Mud Truckers Volume 14. The Athens of the South motto was shortened to We Heart Trucks. And what's left of the true musicians and real artists of Tennessee will be happy to serve you today, and would you like to hear the specials? With basil pizzas, it's good with the one with the olive oil. Nashville Mayor Dierks Bentley says, "If you see 'em, tard fags, kick 'em. You hear? Give 'em swift southern kicking in their tard fag dick.
Yeah! Yeah! Fuck, I love testosterone. Fuck you, you wanna fight? Fuck you, fucking ugly. 3-slap bitch. Fuck everyone, I'm the shit.
As a last means of survival before the city was completely taken over by talentless pricks, the French made love and smoked cigarettes in black and white, while a Phoenix album snuck its way into the English airwaves, under the English Channel in an Uber rail, where a dude emailed it to that half-wit in Phoenix. And then he emailed it to the UK. Anyways, that uniquely French mediocrity sounded so similar to every other song of the 20-teens, Lightning 100 decided to play it once per hour, every hour, for 3 months, until Nashville finally rebranded itself Freedom City, which pissed off the French so much that they did absolutely nothing. After the Sanders invaded the East, a wall was erected called the Cumberland River. The West responded in kind by dropping their new nuclear weapon on Japan. They said they were aiming for the Sony building, but they missed, and they're sorry.
Wherever your love is, that's where I'm going to be forever.